This episode of The Edge is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek.fm at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the nonprofit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org. And if you want to join the conversation and share your thoughts on this episode, join the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type BABEL into the Facebook search field. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're listening to Trek FM.
What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
Bing! That means we're live. Hey everyone, we are live here, live from the Edge. I'm Bruce Gibson, and with me as always, Brandi Jackola.
Hi.
Yeah, she's waving.
Hi, guys.
See, this is why you have to watch the live show, because then you can actually see us and her waving. And it's really great because all these times I have done podcasting with you, Brandi, I've noticed there's a clock on your wall behind you, but I've never paid attention to it. But now I am, because this is great, because now I can see how we're doing time-wise.
Yeah, well, that one is a little bit fast.
I noticed it's about 5 minutes fast.
Yeah, it keeps gaining time without my permission, and I just haven't bothered to take it down and set it again, so about 5 minutes ahead.
That's okay. Just don't talk 5 minutes ahead of me, because then the show will be all freaking messed up.
Oh, stop with the temporal things. I've had a long day.
Oh, Janeway! I don't know why I said that. Okay.
Excellent.
Hey, so this is a weird situation, because if anybody's tuning in live, or if anybody's listening to this as a podcast, seeing it drop on Saturday instead of Friday, do you know what? There's a reason for that. And the reason is that we were live Thursday night, and I still hadn't seen the Brightest Star because it was not showing up on CBS.
Yeah, that was fun.
But you saw it, Brandi, because it actually showed up in Amazon for you.
Yeah, it showed up on the CBS All Access channel on Amazon, and it actually showed up about 10 minutes early. So, yeah.
Wow. See, there you go. And it didn't show. And the Calypso, it was the other way around. It showed up for me on CBS, but wasn't showing up on Amazon for you.
Exactly. And true to their word, Amazon, when I contacted them about this problem, they fixed it pretty much immediately and said it would not happen again. And so far, they have been true to their word. So we'll see what happens next month.
Yeah, well, and I knew it wasn't anything on my end because, first of all, I went on the website and it wasn't showing up. I was like, okay, let me do my iPhone. So I went to the CBS app on my iPhone. It wasn't working there. Then I went to my Apple TV. It wasn't working there. Then I went to my Roku and it wasn't working there. And then I went on Twitter and saw people tweeting, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And then we had Justin and Becky show up in our chat, and they were the only ones for a live show. And they were like, where is it? And we were like, you know what? We need to postpone it. So there we are. We're on Friday, 24 hours later, and I have seen it now.
Good, because it helps to do that when you have to talk about it live.
I was prepared to go live with you and just have you talk about it, and I was going to ask questions.
No, I was not comfortable with that. I was not comfortable with that at all.
Well, I guess we can talk about, so as I mentioned, this is the Short Treks, The Brightest Star, about Saru, and I've seen it 3 times now.
Me too.
So I feel prepared. Ooh, 3, yeah. Okay, I think before we go into it, let's just look in the chat because they have been crazily active right now.
Yes.
Is crazily a word?
Yes.
Okay, crazily active. I'll just edit that out. Oh, wait, we're live. Okay.
Yes, unfortunately, no editing.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, Justin Ozer has a good question for Dan Gunther because Dan usually comes in on the live show, but he hasn't seen the episode yet because he sees it later in Canada on something else. I can't remember now. Wait, no, it's on Space the night of. It's on the other thing.
The thing and the stuff.
The other thing.
Yeah.
That other thing. So, yeah. So we'll have to see if Dan has actually watched. Oh, yeah. He says he just finished it. It's called Crave, right? That's what he watches it on.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
It's Crave, yes. And Becky says, well, the Brightest Star is the best short treks yet for me. Ooh. That's good. Would you say that, Brandi, for yourself?
I have trouble elevating one thing above all others. So I have enjoyed each one. Each one has been very different. Each one has had a different story to tell and a different feel to it. And so it is difficult for me to say this one is better than all of the others for me. I have loved every single one of them, but I cannot say one is my favorite because they're all so different that it's difficult for me to compare. So it's unfair for me to choose one as a favorite. I just love them all. It's so wishy-washy, I know.
No, because that's how I feel about all the series when people are like, oh, which is your favorite Star Trek series? And I'm like, I can't pick.
Agree.
Yeah. But this one I can pick on the short treks because I did think about this today.
Oh, did you?
I love them all too, but I actually think this one would probably be my favorite one, and I think that's for a couple of reasons. One is that I thought the Tilly one was really good, but I think these two were a little better. I mean, the Tilly one, I liked it, but I think these other two seemed a little more original to me and a little more different. And I think maybe because it's not just a crew member on the ship. Mm-hmm. So, but this one gives a lot of history to Saru and the Kelpians. And that's something that's going to resonate for years as we talk about Star Trek Discovery and the Saru character.
Yeah.
So this has a big impact on the history of his character. And I thought because of that, I would have to say this would have to be my favorite because we're going to be talking about this for a long time.
That's fair. And it puts a lot of things into context as far as Saru's behavior, Saru's actions, everything we've seen so far of Saru or read about in the books, as the case may be if people have read the books. You get a lot more insight that way as well. Of course, we can't call the books canon, but it still gives us... Well, yeah, you can, but they are not officially canon.
I know. No, they're not canon.
So I appreciated having that small frame of reference by which to interpret his actions, and it now makes me want to watch season 1 again and go back through and have that in my mind as I'm watching all of Saru's scenes.
Yes, I think that's a great idea because now that's going to change your view of the character watching him on those past episodes from seeing this episode.
Yes, and besides, I never need an excuse for a rewatch, but that's as good excuse as any.
Well, I think you should not watch it with your husband because he's in the chat and he said, who knew Kelpians harvested kelp?
Yeah,
Really, Dave?
Well, it's kind of obvious in that first scene. They're pulling stuff out of the ocean and there's something that looks suspiciously like kelp. And I didn't really pick up on that the first time I watched it, but when I rewatched it, I thought, wait a minute, that looks like kelp. And I thought, my reasoning for it is I'm sure that they didn't name themselves. They were probably named by the Baul, which I want to call the Bowels.
The Bowels?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's the Baul.
Yeah, and I think that basically they're just lazy. And they're like, oh, they go get kelp out of the sea. Call them Kelpians.
So Kelpians, yeah.
Whatever.
It's like, there used to be big Tupperware parties and saran wrap and stuff, and these beings used to show up, and they used to like how, the wrap would cling to things, so they became Klingons, or I don't know. I don't know. Hey, it's Friday night, people. And no, I haven't had anything to drink. I have a glass of water right here.
I've had coffee.
Ooh.
Actually, coffee does not make me perky, but it does keep me from killing people while grocery shopping.
Well, great. Always have a cup of coffee before you go grocery shopping.
Oh, no. There's a Starbucks in my grocery store.
Oh, okay.
I stopped there first.
They actually run to you. Ma'am, you need to come here and order your coffee before you start shopping here. Get over here.
Yeah, I bring in my reusable cup and I have them fill it. and I don't kill people while I'm shopping. Everyone wins.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone.
Well, thank you for not killing us. Speaking of death, so the Kelpians see only death when they look in the stars.
Yeah, they've been basically conditioned that way. They have been and unfortunately, they're keeping themselves down just as much as they're being kept down by this Ba'u, this race that's basically hunting them. So.
See, okay, now that's the thing. I thought, is this the race that hunts them, or is there another race, planet side, that hunts them? I assume the Ba'u are these hunters, but I was very surprised that the Kelpians willingly give themselves to them.
I really don't think it's a willing thing, because again, I think they've been conditioned into this mindset. Nobody wants to die. Not really. Unless you're like really sick and suffering and there's no hope for you. But, a lot of those Kelpians seemed like they were in the prime of their lives. The ones that were sacrificed at the beginning of the episode. And what I'm guessing is that they beam them up and then they put them down somewhere and hunt them for sport. And then that's that. How much sport is it really? Because obviously
to capture something you've already captured.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Something that's just bred to be afraid of you. How is that sporting? How is that satisfying in any way? The Ba'u suck.
Yes, they do. The Ba'u.
Yeah.
Not the bows, or the vows.
The bowels. The bowels.
So, my thought was, that yes, the Ba'us are the hunters, and this balance, this great balance that's being referred to, and the willingness to just give themselves, the Kelpians give themselves to the Ba'u. I assumed that, in my mind, that they were being physically hunted or at war with these beings years and years ago. Mm-hmm. And there was death among all the Kelpians, that if they just went along with the Ba'u and willingly gave themselves to them occasionally, that was the balance to protect themselves and give them peace and comfort without going to war. So they just willingly give themselves the sacrifice in order to avoid fighting and war and massive death. That's what in my head, I was going with that.
Well, yeah, and that's pretty much what I assumed as well. But my thought was that they once all existed on the same planet.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ba'u became, more technologically advanced until they were able to go to the stars, until they had warp drives and they were able to leave. But they still just keep the Kelpians afraid and enslaved, basically. And it's like, oh yeah, well, you just sacrifice a few and we'll leave the rest of you alone. But even Saru's father said that eventually everyone's time comes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a frustrating cycle that the Kelpians think that they are unable to break. They've been so conditioned to believe that this is just the natural order of things and they can't do anything about it. And Saru is the one person who's questioning, why? Why should we do this? Why do we keep doing this? We don't have to do this. So, yeah.
Which of course leads him to leaving.
Yeah. He wants more out of his life. He wants to know more. He has a passion for knowledge and a curious intellect, and he wants more out of this life than just existing to one day be sacrificed to the Baal. What's wrong with wanting? What's wrong with questioning? And that's the thing. It's like, why shouldn't you be able to question these things?
And isn't that what we do? I mean, we're not always happy with our lives and we question things. Do I need to be doing what I'm doing? Or am I doing the right thing? Is there something more? Is there something better?
Exactly. Just blindly following along with a philosophy or a set of rules. Even people of faith question, and rightly so. Because we don't progress without questions. Without questions, we don't gain additional knowledge. Because pretty much all the knowledge comes from questions. What would happen if I do this? What would happen if I say this? What would happen if I study this? What would happen if I break this? All of these things cause progress of one kind or another.
Yeah, and I feel that the fact that he doesn't understand why everybody's just goes along with this and they're all just, waiting for the harvest and giving themselves to the Baal, and he just doesn't understand that. And so he knows his time is coming soon. He talks to his dad about that. And I think that makes it even easier for him to leave because he's going to be gone anyway. And he either can go his route or this Baal route. Baal route.
Yeah. And his ambition is to help his people. But when faced with that final decision of staying there or leaving behind his planet forever, he realizes that if he stays there, he's going to die. And he wants more out of his life than that. And so he leaves behind his family, his home, everything. And he literally just walks onto a shuttle and with only the clothes on his back. And that's it.
Yep, that was it. And who did he leave with but Lieutenant Giorgio?
I really hoped it was going to be her when the shuttle landed and somebody stepped out and it was in shadow. I'm like, please be Giorgio. Please, 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 please.
Actually, I felt the same way, but as soon as you're saying that, it just dawned on me, wouldn't it have been interesting if it would have been Lorca? Because it would have been the first time we saw Prime Lorca.
That is true. But I think
I liked it better that was Giorgio. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes more sense that it was Giorgio.
Yeah.
So, because they would have, they obviously had a very strong relationship that we don't see a lot of on screen. We see more of that in the books, especially with the first book, which is Desperate. I don't remember.
Desperate Hours?
Desperate Hours.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, see, both of them, the first one and the second one start with D. So it's like Desperate Hours, Drastic Measures, and I want to mix them up.
And they did that on purpose.
Jerks.
They were going to even make the third book begin with a D, and then they decided not to. So
yeah, and it's David Mack and Dayton Ward. It's like, stop it!
I hadn't thought about that, but yes, you're right.
Too many things that are similar. Anyway.
So William Jackson in the chat raises a point that I had thought about also, that there's no further explanation about the threat ganglia from this episode. It's still kind of like, how does that work and what does it mean? I mean, we saw some of it used in the episode, but we really are still kind of learning about it.
Mm-hmm. We are, and I think some people have mentioned, let me see if I can find it, going backwards. No,
you're 5 minutes fast.
I know. Justin brought this up actually earlier in the chat, and he says the novel Fear itself talks about the threat ganglia and that Saru is still learning when they should come out and when they shouldn't. He is able to control them to an extent.
Yes. Oh, but that's not canon.
Yeah, but I still use it as a resource anyway, so.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's like, I didn't really care because the threat ganglia is one of those things that was kind of problematic in season 1. And I hope that they fix that a little better in season 2. I don't know if fix is the right word. streamline it. I'm not really sure what the right word is to describe that, but I feel like it's like, okay, wouldn't his threat ganglia have come out during that? But I mean, his threat ganglia came out when the shuttle landed.
Yeah.
I think it's again a conditioned response. It's like anything new and different, fear. So, because people who are afraid are easy to control. Keep people afraid and you can control them forever.
So, yeah, I feel like you can control me because I'm afraid of you. Anyway, so oh, that look. Let's go on to the next thing. What else is anybody else saying in here? Daniel's Hot Topics is asking. By the way, Daniel's Hot Topics, I saw you mention earlier that you were at Walmart tonight, and so was I. And I never go on a Friday night. It was a scary experience. But anyway, you're saying, are we going to talk about the new Picard series, rumored to be Star Trek Destiny? No, that's not the purpose of the show. So, but no, I will address that. I don't know if it'll be called Star Trek Destiny, but I don't know if we'll even do a live show. I'm sure there'll be some kind of live show here on Trek FM. I don't know if we'll be involved or not, but I'm certainly excited about a new Picard series that's coming out in a year. We got that news recently, too.
Yeah, they said end of 2019.
Yeah.
So I don't know what end of 2019 means. I'm assuming it means December of 2019.
December 31st.
New Year's Eve. Here's your New Year's Eve present, Trek fans, because we know you're not going to go out anyway. So why not stay in?
We told you it was coming. Yeah. So we told you.
Stay in and watch CBS All Access.
So Justin's wondering what the Baul will look like. Oh, no, he's saying, I wonder what this looks like from their perspective. I read it as he wondered what they look like, which, by the way, wonder what they look like. Do you think we ever seen the Baul?
Honestly, I don't care that much. It doesn't matter to me what they look like because they're horrible people anyway. So, well,
for all we know, they look like Kelpians.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
Because you said they could be from the same planet. What if Baul isn't necessarily a race of beings? Well, I mean, Saru was asking, do they have wings? Like, he'd never seen them.
Yeah. I'm going to say that they probably were the dominant species of the planet and looked different. So that's my guess. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm just like, unless you're going to, interfere and stop them from harvesting the Kelpians, I don't really want to see them. So, and that's something that I find interesting is how Georgiou had to really work with Starfleet in order to even come and find Saru. Because when you think about it, yes, they're a pre-warp civilization, but they have a civilization that has gone to the stars, who has warp technology and obviously transporter technology and all that thing. They're basically stunting the evolutionary growth of the Kelpians. Yeah. So how is that okay? Because they can be contacted. They can be dealt with. So why is that? Why don't Starfleet do something about that?
Why don't they step in? They obviously know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's that nasty prime directive.
Yeah, but how is it interfering if they're interfering with this species that already has warp technology?
Maybe they are negotiating with the Baul and they haven't come very far with them yet. I don't know. But then again, what's going on right now during current day discovery? Is Saru's people still being treated that way? Are they still giving themselves to the harvest?
Well, that would be my guess because Saru hasn't been back to the planet, and I'm pretty sure no one else is questioning, especially if Saru's dad is still around, basically threatening everyone, like low-grade threatening. So now,
and he can't go back. Giorgio said you can't go back, which tells me that he will go back.
Yeah, I'm going with that as well. You can't ever return. I'm like, we shall see.
We shall see.
But I got the feeling just from, and I may be reading a lot into this, but I got the feeling that other things that fell off the Baul ship were things that Saru had messed around with before. And that's an interesting point. I think because when he was taking apart that bit in this episode, he had all of these different little pieces of papyrus that had writing and drawings on them.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
And so my feeling is that every time his father has found one of these things, and then he's telling Saru to destroy it, get rid of it later because it's forbidden. And it's like his dad suspects what Saru is doing, but can't really prove it. And so, he tells Saru to get rid of it, and Saru says, I'll do it after my work is finished. And you think that's the end of it. And then his dad says, because it's forbidden to have it. So I just kind of feel like he suspects something, but he doesn't know for sure. And so, yeah.
That could be, yeah, definitely.
But I feel like
he's played with other parts that he's found. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the feeling that I got. And he was just kind of waiting for something that he could try to use to see if he could contact other sapient life in the universe besides the Baul.
I'm sorry. Every time you say that, I think what you said earlier.
The bowels?
Yes.
It's because they stink.
Well, let me continue with the stinky bowels, because one thought I had is the only other time we've seen a group of Kelpians was in the Mirror Universe.
Yes.
Okay. And I thought, well, now that's interesting. How did they end up on the Emperor's ship in the Mirror Universe? And did the Baul take Kelpians in the Mirror Universe and give them to the Emperor or to the Empire or such? Or are the Bauls even involved? And I know we don't have answers to that. But, I was thinking, I wonder how this whole thing plays out in the Mirror Universe from what we saw. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're always on the planet unless the Bauls take them, but in the Mirror Universe, we see Kelpians on a ship.
Yeah, and they all look extremely afraid.
Unless the Bauls are actually the Empire from the Mirror Universe that are taking Kelpians from our universe to be used in their universe for reasons.
For reasons.
I don't know what they're using them for besides eating them for dinner. I don't know.
I don't know. That seems like a lot of work crossing over to an alternate universe just to grab some Kelpians.
It does, doesn't it?
It just really does.
I told my wife that she had that idea once, and I said, that's too much work. We're not going to go into another universe just to grab some Kelpians. Let's just go to the store and get something else.
Yeah, I think that they're just grabbing Kelpians from the Mirror Universe. That makes more sense than it's like, okay, hey, we're going over to this other place where everybody's a goody-goody to pick up some Kelpians. You guys want anything?
Well, Dan Gunther says in the chat that maybe the Empire conquered the Baul, and we're like, ooh, these Kelpians of theirs are tasty. Wonder where they got them from.
Yes. Interesting.
You know what? I'm sorry, go on.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I don't remember what I was going to say now. Just go.
I know what I was going to say. I wish we had a phone number, because I love live shows when they take callers. I was just ready to say, call 1-800, blah, 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 but we don't have that.
No, we don't.
Oh, wow. Anything else? What else do we want to talk about?
Well, okay. I had a strong emotional response to a couple of things.
Really?
Yeah, I know, right? Like when we first see Giorgio, I'm just like,
yes. Yes.
And then Saru deciding that he's going to leave, and that original series fanfare comes in. I'm just like,
that was nice. That was beautiful.
It really, really was. And I really enjoyed this episode. And I enjoyed seeing a bunch of Kelpians. I enjoyed seeing their planet. And I also felt bad for them because I just thought you could be so much more. You could have so much more. And it just made me kind of sad.
Yeah.
But
they are sad. They're sad to see them that way. They are a sad race.
Yeah.
You know?
They exist only to be harvested and they never aspire for anything else. It's just
except for one of them.
Yeah, except for, well, and that's why he's exceptional and extraordinary. So, I mean, he took something that he knew nothing about, something technological that he knew nothing about, played with it, learned how it worked, and then turned it into a beacon. I mean, could any one of us today do something like that? Much less someone who lived in prehistoric times. It's just, when you think about that level of ingenuity, as Giorgio put it, he really is exceptional. Not just for his race, but just, in general.
Mm-hmm. And as Dan says, he is the brightest star.
Sorry. Well, people in the chat are now saying they want a Shinzo series. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm up for Michelle Yeoh anytime, any place. So, yeah, if it's I would love a Shinzo series. It would be fun to see that crew more because we only get like 2 episodes with them. And granted, a lot of the crew end up on Discovery, but you don't get to see, you get to see the crew working as a well-oiled machine on the Shinzo, and you don't get to see any of the stuff leading up to that. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's fine to start the story. Well, one of the quote-unquote rules of creative writing is start the story as late as possible and end it as early as you can. So, basically just focus on the most interesting stuff. And that's kind of what they did with those first 2 episodes of Discovery. They started us really late in the Shinzo story, and then all of a sudden, okay, there's no more Shinzo. Well, it's there, but it's not working anymore. So...
Yeah, for Discovery, the Shinzo and the first 2 episodes, almost like that's our cage of the original series. It's like there's Pike and crew, and then that's it. You go to a different crew now with Kirk and Spock and such. So, and now 50 years later, we're going to get Pike and crew finally. Again, something different on screen. So just wait 50 years and you'll have some Shenzhou story.
Okay. Let's see. That'll make me 95. All right. I'll plan on it. I'll pencil it into my planner.
That'll make me 101.
We can do it.
I'll be a Dalmatian by then. 101 Dalmatians. Oh, Becky wants a Robert April series. Yes.
Sure. Why not?
That would work.
I want him in that big. I want him in that big woolly cardigan. Let's have it.
Exactly.
I want it. I want it, man.
I want it. Another thing you said about the music tone, I also like the part where he got the message today and he wrote it, and then you heard the Discovery theme just come up. I love that part too.
That was another reason why I was hoping it was Giorgio, even though at that time she wouldn't have been, she would have been on the Shinzo, etc. And it's not directly connected to the ship Discovery. But I just thought, please, if you're going to have someone making first contact with Saru, it's got to be Giorgio. Who else are you going to have? Just some rando? No. Has to be Giorgio, but I was still very happy when I saw her.
Yeah, me too. I was thrilled to see her. And it makes sense that it's her that takes him under her wing, even though she doesn't have wings. And he questions if beings from somewhere else have wings. So there you go.
Yeah, he questions if the bowl will have wings. So yeah.
It would have been funny if she said to him, Saru, come join me. I'll take you under my wings. And he'd say, but you don't have wings. Anyway.
Fun.
Fun. My. Is this show over yet? We've gone a half hour now, so we're doing good.
Yes. So, Anyway.
Justin wonders how the Wings reference will tie into the Red Angel in season 2.
I guess we'll just have to see. I don't like to speculate on things that have yet to be, because I want to just watch it and enjoy it. Sometimes I can't help but speculate here and there, because sometimes an idea just comes to me like Ash's Vogue. So...
Well, sometimes speculating can then be disappointing, because then when it doesn't play out what you speculate, you may like, oh, really? That's what they decided to do? My idea was better, or I was hoping they were going to do, I
don't ever do that, actually. Right. If I speculate and I end up being wrong, I'm just like, oh, okay. That's usually how I handle it. I'm okay with being wrong.
Me too. But that's not true for all people, though.
Well, then why aren't all people like us?
They need to drink Ractiginos.
With not an apostrophe in it.
Oh, is that a slam at Warp 5 episode 176? Darn! Stop it.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. One of my biggest pet peeves is people pluralizing with an apostrophe. You never, ever, 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 ever pluralize with an apostrophe. There's never a situation where you do that. Never. Apostrophes are used for two things. Two things. One, to form a contraction like don't, won't, can't, shouldn't. Number 2, to show possessions. These are Brandi's ribbons. This is Brandi's nose. This is Brandi's microphone. Those are the only times you use apostrophe, guys. The only times.
Ooh. You know what, Brandi? It sounds like you need some more coffee.
Give me a Ractigino. Not enough Ractiginos.
Now you know what the pre-show conversation was.
Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's our English lesson for the day. I see Amy Nelson's in the chat. Amy, do you have a math lesson you can give us for the show today? Oh, and she just says, teacher is in the house. Preach. See, there, I knew it. There you go. Hey, I also saw Becky made a good point about the translator scene. I love that too. It reminded me of Beyond also there, Becky, where, I love just hearing how somebody's speaking their native tongue and then we're hearing being translated. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and that does happen in Discovery, too, when Michael goes to the Klingon funeral ship. I can't remember exactly what they call it. Yeah.
Yes.
And to be a bad to be a bad A and stuff. But I do enjoy that, and I like doing that for the first couple of things, and then now they're just talking, and we just make an assumption that the translator is still translating because she's still holding the communicator, right. And I really liked that.
Me too. I'm with you.
It's very good.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else in the chat have anything else that you want us to discuss or read or whatever? Because my star's not as bright right now. I feel like we covered a lot. There's other Edge shows that are going to go into this even deeper. So
yeah, they're going to dissect it and do lots of other things to it rather than just have their initial reactions. So, and that's why we have these different shows, is for all of these different viewpoints and different formats. So, ta-da.
Yeah, and that's why we do a live show, to show you that the hosts of Trek FM aren't all that polished. So that's what editing is for. So,
true.
Hey, and I'm wearing a Discovery shirt, my long sleeve Star Trek Discovery shirt.
Yes, it's a lovely shirt, and I want it because I love long sleeve shirts.
I love it. It's keeping me nice and warm. I wore this out tonight when I went to Walmart. I ran into a guy that's a radio personality in Atlanta named Clark Howard, and he just started talking Star Trek with me and showing me his watch and how he can bring up Star Trek images on it. It was great. It's awesome. You never know who you're going to run into that likes Star Trek.
This is true. That's a good thing. Probably the only good thing that could come out of a trip to Walmart. Sorry.
Oh my. Okay, hey, we got a question in here. Becky, 2010 Abel says, why would Starfleet revisit the planet? Speculation. They're going to revisit this planet, right?
I think that they would have to at some point, because how can they continue in good conscience to allow this technologically advanced civilization to prey upon this race that they have basically kept down for possibly thousands of years and fed on them for thousands of years? How can they in good conscience let that happen?
Mm-hmm. There's got to be something involved with the Prime Directive. We've seen things in Star Trek before, and even in the books or something where, something isn't right and they can't step in. And that's always one of those big dilemmas, the big question, when should we step in and when we shouldn't? Should we let the Prime Directive prevent us from trying to help someone that's in need,
Well, let's see. If we speculate on why they would go back to Kaminar, like if they were going back to Kaminar in season 2, which apparently may be happening according to Doug Jones. I'd have to go to his Twitter feed to find out. I follow him on Twitter. But a reason why they could be going is possibly because of the whole Red Angel thing. Because that big monolith, where that makes the weird sounds and then makes a lot of loud sounds when it's time for harvest, that had all of that red light in it. So I'm speculating. I'm over speculating, but maybe this whole mystery of the Red Angels is going to lead them to Kaminar at some point.
Even notice the opening credits all went red to the title, The Brightest Star.
You're right.
So red is the color of the season. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. No. But season 2, red is the color.
They're talking about episode titles in the chat right now, and they're cracking me up.
Yes. The Vulcan, what's up?
No, the Vulcan,
and the Vulcan's
sup.
up. Yeah.
Sup. Spock shows up and he's like, sup.
Sup. That's why he's smiling to Pike. Is that a smile, Spock? Yes. Sup.
I want that to be in the outtakes so badly. I can't even tell you. That's fantastic.
That is. Well, I think we're at a point we should wrap this up.
Yep, we should do that thing. We should do that
thing.
The thing.
That thing. That thing. That thing. Okay. Okay, that's your thing. You love doing the closing.
I do love doing the closing. I have absolutely no special voice this time. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a week. It's been a tough week, so.
You don't want to do it as a Kelpian and do it in Kelpian talk?
How would I do that? It's just they talk
I have
like...
no idea.
Anyway.
I'll translate.
You get what you get tonight, folks. Be grateful.
Oh, okay.
So be sure to check out all of our Discovery coverage. Live from the Edge will air on Thursday for one more time, and that is for the next and last short trek. After that, we are going to move to Friday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Our commentary, of course, will be available as Treks from the Edge. Postcards from the Edge will be where they discuss your feedback. You can catch full analysis on the Edge main show, and Notes from the Edge with our own Chris Jones will have links between Discovery and the broader franchise. You'll find all of these in the main feed for the Edge and in the Trek FM master feed. We would like to hear your thoughts on Discovery. And the best place to do that is where? The Babel Conference. And that's our listeners group on Facebook, of course. And there is where Amy Nelson will collect your feedback for Postcards from the Edge. You can also find us on Twitter at TrekFM or send us email using the contact form on our website at trek.fm/contact. Choose to send to a show and choose the Edge. And we'd also like to thank all of our associate producers. Buckle in. It's a long list. I love this. Norman Selau, Tony Robinson, Thomas Paleo, Lisa Slack, Shoaib Mirza, Richard Rutledge, James Muldrow, Cornelia Reutner, Ryan Malett. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I can't say words. I'm just,
You can't say anything.
I can't words.
I'll translate.
And then a new associate producer, Chris Trabuzio.
Hey, I know Chris.
Yeah, Chris is great. He's also an associate producer on Warp 5, and he loves to join in on the patrons roundtables. He's always fun. And if you would like to help us keep all of our shows going and even become an associate producer, go to patreon.com/trekfm for all the details. Bruce, where can people find you on this vast internet?
Well, when I'm not at Walmart on Friday nights, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Admiral_Rex. That's Admiral with the little underline, then Rex. And you can find me here on the network doing Literary Treks with Dan Gunther, where we talk about the Star Trek books and comics. And we have authors on and other guests, co-hosts and such. So check that out. And then if you like Star Wars, check out the Star Wars Report podcast. Yeah, we've got some things planned here in December. I think we may even do a rewatch a year later of The Last Jedi, do another commentary. So that could be interesting. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then I'm always in the Babel conference. So Brandi, is that where we'll also find you? Is the Babel conference?
Yeah, you can find me lurking in the Babel conference. I do that. You can also find me on Twitter at Brandywine12. Brandy's with an I, 12 is a number. You can find me on the Trek FM network co-hosting Warp 5, which is the Star Trek Enterprise podcast and is very dear to my heart. And also I do a podcast with my awesome husband Dave called the Dark Corner Podcast, which you can find at darkcornerpodcast.com. There are swears in that, so if you don't like swears, then don't listen to it. And I have some stuff coming up in the new year, which I can't really talk about yet, but as soon as I can, you'll hear about it. So there.
Ooh, a tease.
Juicy danglers.
Ooh, danglers. Kelpian danglers.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew it.
Hey, that means on our next live show, your news will already be out.
Possibly.
So we'll have to see. Tune in next time, everybody, for possible news.
Yes.
All right. Well, I say we say what we always say, which I don't remember. Oh, alive, long, and prosper.
And keep calm and disco on.
All right, bye. We'll see you guys in January. Oh, yeah, when is that? But January 3rd. So we'll be on that night, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
January
3rd. Yep.
Yeah,
bye.
I can do it with both hands. Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.